Hello, I hope you did not miss me too much. As always, I bring you an interesting story that you cannot go without knowing, so I will not take up any more of your time and watch out for these spoilers. It all begins in South Korea, where a blonde young man named Ji Bae-ho arrives at an apartment with his parents and his younger brother. They immediately understand that Bae-ho's family will be moving soon because father has received a new job offer. Therefore, they have decided to leave their oldest son in Korea, where he will rent a place. This announcement makes Bae-ho happy, and he celebrates the opportunity to live alone and enjoy the freedom of being a young adult, far from the pressure of his strict parents. Oh, if only he knew it is not that easy either. And so he does what any average guy would do when moving out on his own. Turns his new home into a total mess filled with fast food, beer, and piles of dirty laundry. I told you so. He does all of this while watching television, oblivious to any worries, since his parents have already paid for everything. Living alone is clearly not easy. Lovely. Later on, our protagonist receives a visit from Inguk, a gamer, Sang-hae, a painter, Tae-yoon, a grumpy aspiring actor, and Seon-han, a sweet and reserved young man. All of them are single and have rented the apartment together for different reasons, but for the most part they are looking to disconnect from the world and simply live life. But I will tell you in advance that living together is not easy, and friction soon starts to arise between them because of their different ways of seeing life, from the food they buy to the acting auditions some of them have done in the past. Right at that moment, Bae-ho mentions that someone else is still missing from moving into the apartment. It is the son of a friend of his mother, who will arrive that very day. This worries Inguk, since the place is small, and one of them may have to share his room with this new tenant. Besides, it is obvious that Tae-yoon is the calmest and most mature one in the group, because he cannot stand the shouting and childish fights happening in the living room. At that moment, a shy boy named Ji-hoo rings the doorbell, but he seems to be at the wrong place, since he asks for someone named Ji-an-ae, who is not the new roommate the boys were expecting. After this, Sang-hae says that he does not want to share a room with the new tenant because he is an aspiring artist, and he believes painters must be solitary. Meanwhile, the group speculates about who the new roommate will be, given that this person's presence on social media is mysterious. I mean, there are not even any solo pictures. And it turns out that the surprise for our 5 young men is enormous when they discover that their new roommate is actually a charming girl named Alex Sok-young. This sounds like a love polygon. Alex is a sweet Korean-American young woman who breaks all of the group's expectations regarding their new roommate. However, this is not a mistake. Alex really is the daughter of the friend of Bae-ho's mother, who has returned from Los Angeles, United States, to be an exchange student and needs temporary housing while she adjusts to the Asian country. As it turns out, Alex finds it quite humorous that the boys instinctively assumed she was a guy simply because they had heard her name mentioned by Bae-ho. They truly never could have imagined that a woman would be willing to share an apartment full of single men, and they were completely caught off guard when they finally realized she would be living there among them as well. Immediately, Bae-ho introduces the boys to the girl, telling her that they are all like brothers and that they will do everything possible to make her feel at home. Everyone, except for the backward ones, Sang-hae and Tae-yoon, who maintain that living together with men and women is impossible, and that her presence would make them feel uncomfortable in this man cave they had created in so little time. There are people who simply go against progress or do not know how to separate things. Anyway, for the moment the boys decide to vote to see whether they will allow Alex to stay or not, while she, completely unconcerned, listens to music to relax. During this vote, Bae-ho makes something clear. It was his parents who got this place for him, and if his mother finds out that they kicked Alex out, she could throw all of them out. Inguk supports this idea, pointing out that the girl's presence will not really make much difference in the home. And they inform Alex about the situation, and she, visibly happy, says that as soon as she finds a new place, she will move out so as not to make them uncomfortable anymore, and that is it. However, now they have to decide who will share a room with this girl. And what finally happens is that 2 of the boys share a room, leaving a single room for Alex. I think that will be the best scenario. That same night, Seon-han offers to accompany Alex to buy a toothbrush, which makes it clear that he will be her best friend during the stay. Also, the next morning, she makes breakfast for all of them to earn their trust. Although some seem excited to have Alex as a new friend, there are others who are still grumpy and feel unhappy about her presence. Fortunately, sweet Alex does not pay attention to these resentful guys, and instead organizes her room with her makeup and an endless amount of luggage full of shoes. During dinner, the young people share how they met, and for her part, Alex tells them about how difficult it has been to make friends in the United States, where she studies mechanical engineering and is used to dealing with egotistical guys and also somewhat sexist ones. This does not seem to please Tae-yoon, who is practically the only one who cannot stand the idea of Alex being around and sees her as a nuisance in the apartment. However, Alex has to deal with another even more complicated reality. the mess the other 4 boys leave behind, from trash and food everywhere to the bathroom seat left up and dirty clothes scattered around. Something tells me this poor girl will not last long here. Surprisingly, the young woman manages to connect with Taeyun in this regard, since both of them are very clean and quiet, and they cannot stand the noise and mess of their roommates. In the morning, Alex and Taeyun set house rules that the others will have to follow, and they are not unreasonable requests at all. It is, for example, about not making noise after 10 at night and cleaning the living room and bathroom after using them. However, some of the members of the man cave see it as tyranny. Then, to distract Alex from this uncomfortable situation, Taeyun invites her to cook with him, which strengthens their friendship even more. At that moment, Alex thanks him for being the only one in the group who has friendly conversations with her. Going back to Alex, she realizes that her roommates have done good things for her without realizing it, such as Inguk, who bought new seasonings when he found out that she does not like spicy food, or Bae Ho, who turned off the air conditioner when he learned that the cold bothered her. It seems the group has accepted Alex and Taeyun's rules for living together, as they have even established a cleaning schedule. Days later, a power outage hits the apartment, ruining Inguk's online gaming plans and Sanghae's painting session, leaving the entire group in the dark and completely frustrated. The group quickly gathers in the living room to figure out what happened. The scene feels like a horror movie, even as they light a candle, determined to share scary stories. Sanghae is the first to attempt a chilling tale, but, as is typical for him, he ends up turning it into a joke. However, Alex really does have something terrifying to tell them, and it is about a real event that happened to her on her university campus in the United States. One night, someone knocked on her door, but when she went to open it, there was no one there. Before she can continue scaring the boys, a real fright puts them on alert because someone knocks on the apartment door at that very moment, creating fear and doubts about whether it is a prank or what the hell it is. After this, everyone gets up from the table except Alex and Taeyun, who decide to stay in the living room to keep each other company while the electricity comes back. However, the impatient girl decides to go outside into the neighborhood to see whether the other houses also have electricity, and along the way she finds a necklace. Suddenly, he who appears and tells Alex that he is a neighbor from the area, asking her to give back the necklace she found. And Taeyun, recognizing him from the incident in which he knocked on their door, demands that he leave because he seems like a stalker to him. After this, both of them go back home, and Alex accidentally trips and falls into Taeyun's arms. Right at that moment, the lights, to their bad luck, come back on, and to make the situation a little more awkward, Seon-hin sees the scene and feels a little jealous. This encounter leaves Alex reflecting, because up until that moment, she had not considered any of these boys as anything more than roommates and friends. As usually happens when someone starts having these romantic thoughts, everything and everyone seems to revolve around the subject of love, reminding them that there are relationships to work on. For his part, Seon-hyun questions Taeyun about what happened on the night of the blackout, and it becomes clear that new romantic tensions are forming since Seon-han is clearly in love with Alex. And although Taeyun tries to keep a serious attitude, he cannot help thinking about how he felt while carrying the girl in his arms. Meanwhile, our Alex decides to relax by playing video games with Inguk, trying to avoid thinking about the love situation until he confesses that he would like to have a girlfriend like her. Of course, this complicates the situation even more, since now we are up to 4, turning the love triangle into a quartet. Place your bets, guys. I am sure we will get to a love polygon. And to complicate things, as always, Sanghae starts teasing Inguk and Alex, insisting that they would make a cute couple, which sparks rumors in the house, worrying Alex, who does not want the gamer to get his hopes up since she is not interested in them being more than friends. At that moment, Inguk reveals to her that Bae Ho also has feelings for her. So ding, 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 yes, there is a love pentagon. And I was saying polygon. Anyway, you understood me. Before continuing, a small recommendation. Subscribe to the best YouTube channel. Obviously, I am talking about this one. And turn on the notification bell so that you always receive a notification every time I upload a new video like this one. Going back to our story, Taeyun hears what his friends are saying and cannot help feeling disappointed when he discovers that several of them are interested in the same girl he is. As you can imagine, this is destined to create a major conflict. Meanwhile, Sanghae remains unaware of these romantic entanglements because his only concern is an art contest. In the end, he manages to come out victorious. However, not everyone has good news, because Inguk confesses that he confessed his feelings to a girl he likes but failed, and now his heart is broken. Changing the subject abruptly as the days go by, Alex continues having intense encounters with Taeyun, such as in the kitchen, where physical contact gives her goosebumps. Despite that, he acts cold because he is resentful. And speaking of resentful people, Seon-hyun cannot contain his jealousy every time he sees Taeyoon and Alex together. So he decides to take action by getting closer to Alex. He takes the opportunity to help her put on a necklace, admiring her beauty. And when night falls, the group decides to put their differences aside for a moment to toast Sanghae's victory. After this, Ingek asks Taeyoon whether he is gay or asexual. Yes, just like that, without filters, because he has never heard him talk about girls he likes. Taeyoon quickly denies both options and gets nervous when his friend asks him directly, also, whether he feels anything for Alex or not, to which he responds bitterly that he feels nothing for her. And as always happens in these stories, people are standing around in the wrong place listening to things they should not. So yes, Alex hears this and feels greatly disappointed. But precisely, this seems to be Seon-hyun's ideal moment to comfort Alex and try to win her over once and for all. However, before that, Seon-hyun confronts Taeyoon, telling him that from now on, he will be the one to protect Alex, so he should not try to get close to her again. After this awkward moment, Alex enters the apartment with the boys and they decide to play truth or dare with a bottle. The atmosphere becomes tense as Taeyoon refuses to answer questions about his romance. The situation grows more complicated when a drunk Sanghae stands up and wonders aloud who he is actually in love with. It is an incredibly awkward moment that leaves everyone in the room completely stunned. At that instant, he points at Alex, leaving everyone stunned, and after slipping because of his drunkenness, he causes everyone to fall like domino pieces. In the middle of all this chaos, Alex hurts her hand, and as you can imagine, Sanghae will not be able to face her the next day because of the embarrassment. Like Sanghae, Seon-hyun treats Alex's wound while she sleeps, and at dawn, he comes over to ask her how she feels. Taeyoon does the same, but the atmosphere between them is tense from the night before. Consequently, Seon-hyun invites Alex to leave the house, taking her on a date to a coffee shop, where he realizes that she is somewhat distracted by the romantic entanglement with the other boys. At that moment, shy Seon-hyun decides to be honest with her, stating that none of the boys in the house treats her as well as he does. I think it is time for some betting. Can you leave me in the comments which guy you think will end up with our protagonist? I am paying attention to your answers. Going back to the drama, the boy realizes that his feelings apparently are not returned, because Alex is truly attracted to Taeyoon. After this, a new problem comes up. A few days ago, Baeho found a necklace and a letter at the entrance of the house. Since it was a woman's necklace, he left it in Alex's room, unaware of its origin. The letter mentions the necklace that Alex had picked up on the night of the blackout. If you remember that, everything points to Hee-hoo having been lurking around the place in search of the supposed Jeon-ae. Group then heads to Hee-hoo's house, where after so much mystery, they discover that Jeon-ae is actually his missing pug puppy. He clears up the misunderstanding about the necklace and the letter, in case you thought he was some kind of strange stalker. When night falls, Alex receives the news that she has been given internships in the United States, and she has to be there no later than next week, so there will be no romance. At first, this makes her happy, but it also makes her sad to think that she will have to leave her new friends, especially Taeyeon, with whom she had developed a special connection. After this, Jihoo offers Alex and Taeyeon a curious gift, a pair of couple rings, even though both of them insist that they are not a couple. Jihoo assures them that he has a feeling both of them are going to need them sooner or later. Later, Alex and Taeyeon go buy some ice cream, where they talk about how their opinions have changed since their first meeting. Let us remember that he did not want her to stay in the house, and she saw him as a grump with no friends. However, now both of them are ready to give themselves a chance and go on a date, making it clear that their connection is growing, because this casual meeting seems to have been the push they needed to find a life partner. But unfortunately, the subject of Alex's departure comes up in the conversation, and Taeyoon tells her that he does not want to stop her in her search for opportunities, even though that clearly means separating. This decision leaves both of them feeling terribly down, but they are determined to do everything possible to solve it. Alex even starts asking for advice on how to make a long-distance relationship work, just in case they need it. After that, the girl informs the rest about her departure to the United States, and they quickly suggest throwing her a farewell party, even though she would rather not have one, because farewells affect her. Even so, she has a good time with this group of rowdy young people, whom she has learned to love over time, accepting them with all their imperfections. Later on, Seon-hyun says goodbye to her in private. Even though he still has feelings for Alex, he only wants her to find happiness, even if that means being with Taeyoon and not with him. Finally, time passes quickly, and the day of the farewell arrives. All the boys gather at the entrance of the apartment to say goodbye to her, while she gets into a taxi to the airport. Right at that moment, Taeyoon gives her a chocolate with a letter in which he expresses how much he likes her. And he suggests that no matter what direction their lives take, they will do everything possible to meet again in the future. This future arrives sooner than expected, because after a few months, Alex returns to Korea for a vacation from her internships, and there we see that both of them are wearing a couple ring, which implies that they became a couple during this time. This shows that in life, sometimes we only need to knock on the right door to find a change that leads us to happiness. And also, if the bond is genuine, it does not matter what happens or how much distance there is, love will always prevail. I hope you enjoyed this narration. Please do not forget to subscribe and visit me to see the other videos that I have for you. Goodbye.